A homeless man knew the future, and this is how he got his revenge. Okay, let's think about this. What if you could see the future? And I don't mean just little glimpses. I'm talking about knowing the exact final score of a championship game, or the precise moment a stock is going to crash, or the winning bid at an auction that could change your life forever. Seriously, what would you do with that kind of power? Well, for one man, the answer was actually pretty simple: get revenge and save his family. Now, before we jump in, if you're into stories like this one, do me a huge favor and follow the channel and share this. It really genuinely helps this page grow, and that lets me create more of these stories for all of you. All right, let's get into it. All right, picture this. The year is 1998. The air is just buzzing. It's the World Cup final, Brazil versus France. We're in this jam-packed betting house, and in walks a man named Jufin. Now, everyone in this town sees him as a total waste of space, a good-for-nothing. But what they don't know is he's about to place a bet that's going to change absolutely everything. And what he does it's just sheer insanity. You have to understand, Brazil was the titan, the undisputed favorite. Literally everyone was betting on them to win. But Jufin, he strolls up and puts every last penny he has on France winning. And not just winning, winning 3-0. An outcome so wild, so unlikely, it wasn't even considered a real possibility. So, of course, the whole place just erupts in laughter. People are openly mocking him. But the laughter, it gets nasty fast. A local tyrant, a guy named Zhu, he's the second young master of this really powerful family. He steps forward. He sees a chance to be cruel, and he takes it. He challenges Jufin to a side bet. If Jufin wins, Zhu will pay him 10 times his winnings. But if Jufin loses, his wife has to satisfy Zhu. It's just disgusting. So the game starts, and then the impossible begins to happen. France scores one goal, then another, and then a third. The final whistle blows. The scoreboard reads France 3, Brazil 0, exactly what Jufin predicted. The entire betting house just goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Against every single odd, the fool had seen the future. Jufin calmly collects his winnings, forces the humiliated Zhu to pay up, and just walks out. A rich man. But believe me, this was only the beginning. So what do you do after a win like that? An impossible win? Most people would celebrate, right? Not Jufin. He takes every single cent and goes straight to the stock market. And you'd think he'd play it safe, maybe invest in that hot new tech stock everyone's talking about. Nope. He does something that makes his World Cup bet look tame. He dumps all of it into a company called Shin Pharmaceuticals. Now, this stock is considered absolute garbage. It's been in a total freefall for 6 months straight. And this is where he meets his next big rival, the arrogant young master of the Li family. This guy thinks he's a stock market genius, and he just openly laughs at Zhu Fen, telling him he just bought himself a one-way ticket to the poorhouse. And then what happens? Well, that genius tech stock the Li family picked, it suddenly hits a limit down and completely crashes. At the exact same time, Shin Pharmaceuticals, that worthless piece of garbage stock, it doesn't just go up, it explodes. Jufin's fortune multiplies. Again. And the Li family? They're left standing there, absolutely furious and completely baffled. Okay, so you have to be asking, why? Why is he doing all this? These impossible bets, these insane investments. You know, it's not just about getting rich or getting revenge. The truth is, he's in a race against time. His daughter, she's gravely ill, and the treatment she needs, it costs a fortune. So every single gamble, every victory, it all has one goal. He has to save his daughter. He has to provide for his wife, Zixuan, who's been the only one to stand by him through all of this. And yeah, a part of him needs to finally prove himself to his in-laws, who look at him and just see a worthless gambler. So with this knowledge of the future, Jufin's rise is just meteoric. He anonymously tips off the city's most powerful tycoon, saving him from financial ruin. And in the process, he makes a very powerful secret ally. Then he starts his own video game console company, calls it Little Tyrant, and it becomes an overnight sensation. See, he's not just a gambler anymore, he's building an empire. And all of this, it all leads to one final confrontation. There's a single spot, just one, for a treatment with a legendary doctor who can save his daughter. And it's being sold at a private auction. And guess who his main competitor is for this one priceless shot at saving his little girl? Yep, the Lee family. The very same rivals he humiliated on the stock market. The auction starts. The Lee family oozing arrogance. They open the bidding at a jaw-dropping $20 million. They spot Jufen in the crowd and just sneer, thinking he's probably there with money he borrowed from his new tycoon friend. But Jufen just calmly bids right back. And he keeps bidding, again and again. The price just skyrockets past 50, 60, then 70 million. The Lee family is just scoffing, totally convinced that Jufen has to be way past his limit. So they decide right then and there to end it, to crush him for good. The patriarch of the Lee family gets to his feet, and he announces their final bid, a number that's supposed to be this huge, insurmountable wall. 100 million. The whole room gasps. I mean, it's an unbelievable fortune. They all look over at Jufen, these smug smirks on their faces, just waiting for him to fall apart. But Jufen, he doesn't even flinch, not for a second. Without any hesitation, he just raises his paddle. $110 million. The room goes absolutely silent. The Lee family just stares, their faces turning from shock to pure fury. It's a total knockout blow. So they're furious, right? The Lee family demands an immediate financial check. They are certain it's a bluff. They think, aha, we've got it. We've caught him in a lie that's going to ruin him. But when the auction house comes back and verifies the funds, their faces just drain of all color. The money is real. The beggar was a king all along. Completely defeated and utterly humiliated, the Lee family makes one last desperate move. They kidnap Jufen's wife, Zixuan. But they have made a fatal miscalculation. Jufen is not the same man they can just push around anymore. With his powerful allies and his own, now massive resources, he doesn't just rescue his wife, he brings their entire criminal enterprise crashing down. He exposes everything, tax evasion, illegal arms, you name it. Their whole empire just crumbles to dust overnight. You know, this whole journey for Jufen started with one simple, impossible bet. But when you really think about it, it was never just about the money, or even the revenge. It was about rewriting the future, creating a future where his family was safe and respected and whole again. He didn't just see the future, he reached out and took it. And it really leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If you had that kind of power, if you knew exactly what was coming, what would you do? Would you use it for yourself, for justice, or would you do it all for the people you love? If this story moved you or just made you think, maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. And of course, follow the channel for more stories just like this one.